Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Year 1 writing video. As well as learning all the ways to write those sounds, we've got to keep a little check on how they're holding their pencil. Hopefully, most children in Year 1 will be holding their pencil like this. So it's what we call here, and this last one here, a dynamic tripod posture. So they're holding their pencil in 3 fingers and it's resting nicely up this part of their hand. Before we get to this stage of them holding their pencil, you might see something like this. So when they were younger, they might be holding it in their palm. So that's a palm, a grasp, when they put their writing implement through their fist and they draw marks like this. They might begin to hold it a little bit more pointy, like that little one's trying to do. They might have a little bit more of a static grip like this. This is the one, the tripod grip down here. This is the one that we try to encourage most children to use because you can move your pencil or your pen more easily to form those letters correctly, and your writing then gets quicker as you get older. It is more tricky if your child is left-handed, and some children are, because as a child writes with their left hand, they're covering up with the rest of the hand what they've written, because in English we write from left to right. So it is more tricky if your child is left-handed, and a good tip would be to ask them to hold their pencil just a little bit more further up so they can see the end of it a little bit more clearly, rather than holding it too close to the end of their pencil. Okay, so here's those precursive letters, and we learn them in families of letters. So all of these letters on this page are the curly caterpillar letters because they all have the curly caterpillar shape in them. So whichever letter it is, you start on the line and you come up like a k, and then you either add something like a tail and loop it under. You start on the line like the caterpillar. You come up nice and tall and down with his feet. This letter, the F, is really tricky. So we come up and over and back round. So bit by bit this year your child will be changing the way that they write their letters, and sometimes this can make what the child writes take a longer time to begin with, but by the time they get into Year 2 they'll have caught up again in terms of their speed. These are the ladder letters, so all of these ones have got a nice long ladder shape in them. So for example, the T here starts on the line, here's the long ladder, coming back down and then taking their pencil off the paper and crossing it. Some of the letters hang under the line, so the child's learning where to position the letter on the line. So here we go, here's the tall ladder shape now, down under the line for that Y, that Y letter. These are the one-armed robot letters. So the one-armed robot comes down and then across. I'll do it again over here, sorry. So, starting from the line. This is the line. Let's pretend my arm is the line. So starting from the line, we have up, down, and over. And the B would be the same. We have, starting from the line, up, down, around, with a little tail. They all have, many of them, they all have a little tail at the bottom to help to join up those letters. Some of them have a top join. So you can see here, these are the zigzag monster letters. So the letter V, the V and the U, they join at the top. So it's starting at the bottom of the line, they come up, zigzag, and across at the top. So they don't have a little line coming down here, they don't have a little tail at the bottom. So handwriting, we've talked about. Something we haven't yet really discussed are capital letters. So once your child can write those lowercase letters, the little letters, really well, they need to learn how to form a capital letter. of the same sound. So we need capital letters in year 1 for the names of people and places, and obviously when they say I, they need that capital I. We also need them for the days of the week. We write the days of the week, and we need to learn how to spell the days of the week, and we need them at the start of every sentence. So hopefully, towards the end of year 1, your child might be writing something like this. On Sunday, I went to the shops with Holly and we saw Tom. It was so good to see them. What shops do you go to? And this, hopefully, if a child had written this would show you and their teacher that the child's getting quite confident. So the capital letters are there for the beginning of the sentences, for the names of the day of the week, and names of people, beginning of the sentence, but also it shows you that the child understands that some sort of punctuation has to go at the end of a sentence, a full stop, or an exclamation mark, or a question mark. And you can also see that I've highlighted the word and that's because it's very important that children in year 1 learn to join 2 ideas together in one sentence. On Sunday, I went to the shops with Holly. That could have been the end of their sentence, but the writers added on an extra little clause, and we saw Tom. So really that could be 2 separate sentences, but they've joined it together with this good word here, and this good conjunction. Okay, so we're now going to move on to something that we add in English to the end of a word. So this is the word play. You can see the special friend A, play. And sometimes we have something at the end of the word, like, for example, here we've got an S at the end, so now the word says plays. So if you do this with any words in English, it's called a suffix. It's a different, it's an ending onto a word that changes the word, but it's still got the meaning of play within the word. So I'll show you some examples. You can see there that they are playing. We have play, we have plays, but you could also have a suffix ed, and now that word would say played. I played. I played with my dad, for example. A different suffix might be the sound ing, not the wording, the sound ing. So if you put that suffix onto the end of play, now the word is playing. I am playing. I am playing with my dad. The word splash, special friend sh, splash. For this word, because you have a sh sound at the end, you can't just add an S, you have to add an ES in English. Splashes. You could add ED, splashed. I splashed. I splashed in the pool. You could have the suffix ing, splashing. I am splashing. You might want to ask a question. You might want to write, am I splashing in the pool? And remember that question mark at the end of a sentence. Jump, jumps, he jumps in the air. Jumped. Sometimes in English, words that have an ed ending sound almost like it's a t, jumped. But the spelling's different, it's an ed ending. I jumped in the air. Jumping, I am jumping in the air. And then over here, the question again, am I jumping in the air? with a question mark. There are more suffixes that we learn about in year one. This list looks a little bit complicated, but basically it's words that might have an ing suffix. It's words that might have an ed suffix. Sometimes we can have an er, an sound at the end of a word. Colder, teacher, cleaner. Or sometimes we might have an est. Sharp would become sharpest. This is the sharpest pencil. Or the word soft would be changed into softest. My pillow is the softest. So most of the time, if we want to change a word, a singular word, to a plural word, we just have to add an S. Desk, desks. Book, books. Pen, pens. Month, months. Trains, dogs. But remember, for some words in English, if the word ends in one of these sounds, sh or ch or s or s or x or z, then we have to add es to change it to a plural. So for example, if we had the word brush and we wanted to change that word to brushes, we'd have to add an es, not just an s. If we had the word church and we wanted to say churches, it would be es. If we had the word bus and we wanted to say buses, it would be es. Just another little spelling rule that we have as part of our English language. As well as endings to words, so as well as suffixes, in English there are also some prefixes that children learn at school. And the one prefix that we do learn in year one is the prefix un. Un. And that's used to mean the opposite of something. So either we can zip our coat or we can unzip. And you can see here from this chart how the prefix would come at the beginning of the word. Well would become unwell. Kind would become unkind. Often we might say unhappy instead of the word sad to a child, so that the child's hearing those words with un. We might ask them to walk safely down the corridor because what they're doing might be unsafe, or maybe they're doing something that's unfair. So it means not, it means the opposite of something. Maybe your child can tie their shoelaces. Maybe they can untie their shoelaces. So I think we can see that writing is complicated, but there are so many different ways to encourage your child to write by making them want to write. They can write labels for pictures, they can help you write shopping lists, they could tell you some information about something that they know about. They could write invitations or a letter to somebody. They could write what they've done each day. They could keep a little diary, or they could write a story. And for the last part of this video, story writing is something that I'm going to have a little talk about. So a child in year one has got a good idea of simple stories from nursery, from reception, from home. And something as simple as a nursery rhyme can actually help them understand how a story is created or made. So a story has a structure. It has a beginning, it has a middle bit, and then it has an ending. So this nursery rhyme of Humpty Dumpty is actually boxed up in this way to show the child what's happened. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. So this order and this kind of model here if you follow the arrows round, the child in pictures or in words and writing can understand the flow of a story. Sometimes we use this kind of map in school. We call it a story mountain. This is another kind of story map, and the teacher, the adult or the child themselves can draw pictures to create their own stories or to retell stories that they know very well. So this one we've got the owl babies. Often we use a little book to introduce the story. Once upon a time, and we pretend to open the book and read it. Once upon a time, there were 3 baby owls, Sarah, Percy and Bill. They lived in a hole in a tree. So you can see as you follow the arrows round, it would help the child to retell the story. If you read lots of stories to your child, and if they can help you make them up, they're going to be able to write those ideas down once they've learned the mechanics of writing. And the final slide is this one. So as your child approaches year 2, hopefully they'll be able to get good ideas in their head. They'll be able to ask questions about who the story is going to be about, what might happen, when did the story take place, why did something happen, where did it happen, how does it end, how did a character feel. So we call this the question hand, and that often helps your child gain ideas as to what to put in their writing. So thanks for watching. That's the end of the Year 1 writing video. Please complete the survey by following the link in the details attached to the video. Bye for now.